Okay, hello, everybody. I am Dan, and that is
Kyle.
Right, yeah, that is who he is. And we are Votacall. I'm kidding, but we are here to walk you through AI agents and receptionists today on behalf of Votacall. So pretty excited about this one. I think if you've attended some of these in the past, you've seen us get excited before. I'm of the opinion that this is even more exciting than the most excited we've ever been, at least based on some of the conversations that I'm having on a fairly consistent basis at this point. So thank you guys all for coming. I see people, trickling in here, so I'm going to give them just a couple minutes, to let the rest of you guys catch up. If you're anything like me, even though your calendar said 11:30, the last meeting probably doesn't end until 11:33. Then you gotta screw your head back on straight, take your notes, put them where they need to go, and then jump on to the next one. So, or as we'd call that, after call work in the call center world. So we're gonna pretend that you guys are all doing after call work right now. We're gonna let some people filter in. I used the analogy yesterday. I thought it was a pretty good one. What did you think, Kyle, about the popcorn?
It worked. It worked. I haven't heard it before.
So, when you put popcorn in the microwave, you either put it on for exactly how long it says to put it on for, which I am not that person, or you kind of put it in, and while it's popping away, you're like, okay, good. So while people are coming in, I'm going to let them keep coming in. When it gets to the point where there's like one popcorn popping and then another popcorn popping, you press stop on the microwave and you're good to go. Or if you're making it in the pan, same drill. Maybe the pan's a better analogy. Anyway, okay, guys, it looks like we're running out of pops here in the microwave. So thank you guys all for coming. If anybody shows up late, they can rewatch this later. And we'll go ahead and get started. Again, I'm Dan, that's Kyle, and we're here to talk about AI agents and receptionists. Before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. As always, down at the bottom, you will see a few different things, links, and polls and questions. Links are going to give you exactly what they say they are. There's links there to previous webinars. We do post these at the end of each month when we do them. Access to our training library, how to reach support. There's one in there that I really love, and that is how to schedule an AI call. Hopefully by the time this is done, if we do our jobs correctly, you'll all be clicking that link. You can also just reach out to support or your project manager or whatever is easier for you at the end of all this. Oh, there it is. Kyle just threw it up there for you. You can press later because we haven't said anything interesting yet. So I'm not surprised if you're not sure you want to book yet. There's there's polls tab, and we'd love you to fill out those polls. And we'd like you to do that towards the end of the call. We'll kind of make note of it. But if you can jump in there and just kind of talk about, as we've gone through talking about what AI can do for you, if you could fill in the things that are interesting to you guys, that would be really wonderful. That kind of feedback is really important to us. And next, or last but not least, is going to be the questions tab. We got a ton of questions yesterday. I'd love to get some more questions today. We will actually be hitting on some of the questions from yesterday if you guys don't ask them, because we felt like they were great questions. But remember that Kyle and I are the only two people who can see the questions. So don't be embarrassed. Just ask away. Again, thank you for being here. We do these monthly. They are the way that we communicate with our base, with our customers. And so we really appreciate when you guys take time out of your day to come and to join us. Hopefully you're enjoying a short work week as we head into the weekend starting tomorrow. So that's great. I don't know what part of the country you're all in. I know some of you guys are around us in New England, and we are in one of those cycles where it's beautiful all week long and then it rains all weekend. And that is really just the best cycle ever. Yeah. All right. So what are we talking about today? We are learning Votacall 1, what are agents and receptionists. We are learning how can AI agents and receptionists work for you. We will cover who are they for, and what some business use cases and benefits. And then, as always, we'll hit you with some resources and training materials. But with all that said, I am officially out of breath and need to take a sip of water. So we're going to hand it over to Kyle. Kyle, take it away.
Sure thing. So We're going to start off with why businesses are looking at AI. So there's two ways to look at it, possibly, so you can look at it as to what customers are expecting and what businesses are facing. So businesses are looking at AI because it can do several things. It can reduce costs, it can improve customer response times, and it can handle a growing share of routine conversations and tasks without adding staff. So AI is here to help with inefficiencies. So what are customers expecting? Customers want immediate help and answers. So for example, we've had some conversations with some law firms where they tell us that clients call daily or even multiple times a day to get updates on cases. Well, AI can answer those questions for them. AI can connect to databases and CRMs to provide those case statuses. Another example would be, doctors' offices where patients are trying to renew or check a status of a prescription refill or even schedule appointments. AI can handle all of that. Customers perhaps are expecting 24/7 availability depending on your industry. So AI can answer calls any hour without overtime or staffing overnight shifts, which is great for medical offices, HVAC, generator, plumbing, heating oil companies, emergency services, and I'm sure there's many more that fall in that category as well.
There sure are.
Yep. Faster call handling, right? Who likes to sit on wait for minutes at a time? I don't. So AI can help reduce or eliminate long wait times and also reduce or eliminate long phone trees. Phone trees are also known as auto attendant menus, like press 1 for billing, press 2 for support. So it can eliminate a lot of those trees. So AI can answer calls immediately and route calls intelligently. And then, perhaps customers are expecting more personalized experience. Well, AI can help with that again because it can connect to CRMs and databases to pull customer records automatically, so it has your information immediately available. So Dan does a lot of our initial conversations and demos with AI at the moment. So Dan, with your conversations, anything to add as to why businesses are looking at AI?
I think curiosity. Most of the conversations that I'm having begin with, more of a, hey, I wonder if this could do X. It usually is created by a problem that they've had, or just, a void, or they're hearing about AI, or they read about AI, or they saw a podcast, listened to a podcast, or their boss asked them, hey, how could we be using AI? That's your mandate for this year. And I think those are the things that are driving our conversations. I would say that, and our marketing emails, so those have been doing well to get people to come to. I think there's just a general overall curiosity that people have right now around AI. It's almost impossible not to hear it in your daily life. And to be hit by it everywhere you turn and look. If you go to LinkedIn, I don't know what everybody's LinkedIn looks like. I imagine that LinkedIn has little bubbles where you live in a specific bubble. I live in the technology one. Every post is AI, this, AI, that, what AI is going to do. So I think what customers expect is, hey, I think this could do something for me. And I think a lot of our phone calls are creating those. So, I'm coming from what our customers expect, right? Not what our customers expect. So there's both there. But again, immediate answers, 24/7 availability, faster call handling, personalized experience. And then as you move to the other side of this, businesses are facing staffing shortages, labor costs, missed calls, after-hour support gaps. And those are traditional things that companies have always been facing, and definitely are reasons why people are taking a peek at AI. AI never calls in sick. AI is very capable of, I think the interesting thing about AI for me, and some of the meetings that we're having and working with, I don't know, for some of you guys who have attended our webinars before, we did one a few months ago with Sean. And Sean is our internal data scientist. And he comes on all of our calls to talk about, what's possible, et cetera, because I have a fairly wild imagination and I imagine AI can do anything. And then Sean is the one who reels me in and says, hey, hold on. Let's start here. But, as people get on these calls and, we start to learn about these things, I'm always impressed about what AI actually is capable of doing kind of right out of the gate. You could think of an AI as an employee right out of the gate can be an employee that you just hired. You don't give them the world to do, but you give them a small subset of things that they can do. Maybe on their first week, they answer the phone, they transfer calls, and they answer a baseline of questions. Super easy, right? As they're an employee longer, you can teach them more things. And I think AI is going to be the same way. And I think that for me is the most interesting thing, because the tasks that they face and they take care of right out of the gate are going to be different than the tasks they face and take care of in a little bit. But we'll talk more about that as we keep going here. So
absolutely. So I want just to add a little bit more to that, for, more calls you receive equals more employees you need to answer the phone. And that's where AI can help with that. AI can also help with call spikes, perhaps during outages, product launches, weather events, and holiday seasons, and also with missed calls, right? So missed calls equals missed opportunities and/or revenue. So AI can be used to handle multiple calls at once, improving efficiency and cost savings. So before we proceed with AI agents and receptionists, a big question I had and a lot of questions that we got was, well, what is the difference? So we're going to ask Dan, what's the difference?
And I won't call myself a specialist here, but I will say, so as we started looking at this AI agents, AI receptionist, we even had a third category at one point, which was AI personal assistant. And then we had another one, which was an AI, I forgot about this one actually in yesterday's, but we had an AI like sales person who was like making outbound phone calls actually. The AI personal assistant, and I have one of these, it's trained in my voice. It's a pretty interesting experience, but you can call a number and you can, if you call my mailbox, actually after a certain number of rings, it'll answer and say, hey, would you like to try to reach Dan? And would you like to leave a voicemail, or would you like to schedule a meeting? And it will actually schedule a meeting, look at my calendar and do all that. And then we have AI agents and AI receptionists, but we finally tooled it down to AI agent and AI receptionist. But as we were talking about these things, we realized they're all the exact same thing. What is the actual difference? The actual difference, I think you would say, is marketing. It is, if I told you guys that we were having if the email that got sent out, no, sorry, not I, but the email that got sent out by us and that Kyle put together said, we're having a meeting on AI agents. Anybody interested in an AI receptionist or the idea of one wouldn't be on the call. If we told you we were having a meeting about AI receptionists, anybody who considers that they want something that's a little bit more than something that picks up the phone wouldn't be on the call. So what's the difference? Marketing. And that's cheeky of us to say, but that is what we learned. It is what's going on in the industry. It is the industry norm is that they talk about these things as if they're different. But in just a moment, we're going to break down what each one would do if you were categorizing it. And you'll see that they do a lot of the similar things. So I'm going to hand it over to Kyle again, and he's going to kind of walk you through these. So we'll start with, what is an AI agent, Kyle?
Sure. So an AI agent is software that can answer and manage phone calls using AI, of course, instead of perhaps having a receptionist or call center employees physically answering phone calls. Unlike the phone tree menus, the auto attendants, an AI agent can understand natural conversations, respond naturally, and complete tasks during a call. So I kind of think of AI agents as a digital employee that can handle routine conversations, while human staff can focus more on the complex customer needs. So some examples of what AI agents can do is booking and confirming appointments, answering frequently asked questions, routing calls intelligently, sending follow-ups, updating CRM records because it can connect to your databases and CRMs, and also collecting information. Anything you want to add to that, Dan?
No, I mean, I think that covers it. When you talk about anyone who wants to collect any information for you is really what I I guess if I had to try to differentiate, that would be the differentiation, right? It wouldn't be something performing simple tasks. It would be something that's diving a little bit deeper. And I think that's where you get into like the agent side of things. So Kyle, if you were marketing today, you're the marketing expert, put your marketing hat on. And we'll talk about wearing multiple hats in just a minute. But what is an AI receptionist?
Yeah, so an AI receptionist is a virtual assistant that answers and manages phone calls, again, using AI. It works like a front desk receptionist, and it can operate 24/7, although it does not have to operate 24/7. We can put it on a schedule. So once again, instead of using a phone tree menus, an AI receptionist can have natural conversations with callers, understand requests, and complete common tasks in real time. So it's starting to sound very similar to AI agents. So for example, instead of having a phone tree of menu of options, AI can answer immediately and say something, "Thank you for calling Votacall. How can I help you today?" And then perhaps the caller would say, "I need to book an appointment for next Tuesday." Well, the AI agent or receptionist will understand the request, check the availability, confirm a time, and book that appointment automatically. So those are some examples of receptionist. Anything to add to that one, Dan?
No, I mean, I think that's it. I think as we start to dive a little bit deeper into this today, you can think of it as, 20 years ago, we used to have a very similar kind of conversation about an auto attendant. And people were, okay, I have someone who answers my phones. I don't need an auto attendant. It was like, well, the person who answers your phones, is there anything else that they could be doing? Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, okay. Or yes, absolutely. That person is, bombarded with things they have to do. Are there things they don't get to every day? Yes, I think there are. Okay. Is answering phone calls overly, how important is that? And what are they doing once they answer the call? Well, they're just kind of moving the call through the organization. Okay, well, we have an auto attendant and they can press 1 for this and get a dial by name directory and do all that. I think the nice thing about an AI receptionist is that it will answer the phone in a tone that you pick, and we'll talk about how that works, in a tone that you pick. And, you don't have to teach it everything. It'll just ask, how can I help you today? And if the person said, I'd like to speak to Kyle, they would say, okay, do you mean Kyle Lahulier? And yeah, okay, just one moment while I try to connect you, right? And then from there, we can do a warm transfers, we can do assisted transfers, right? Or if we do a warm transfer and Kyle doesn't answer, we can come back and say, Kyle's not available, would you like his voicemail? But you're not typing all that out, right? You're not writing all that down. The AI agent has been schooled and taught and not so much by us, but just in general, they've been taught to think like humans. And it's really interesting stuff. And I love sharing it with people. So, but let's keep going. So, drum roll.
So Dan, who are AI agents and receptionists for?
Okay. They are for everybody.
Awesome.
But if we had to break it down, it really comes down to pain points. For me, at least the beginning of the conversations, it comes down to creating efficiencies from pain points. It comes down to people wearing many hats. And I'm not going to do it today because it feels a little disingenuous. But yesterday I happened to just grab a whole bunch of hats that were around me and I put them on in the thing because it was kind of funny at the time. I'm not going to do that today. But it is for people who wear multiple hats, and it really comes down to where are there little places where we can make you more efficient, make your people more efficient. And that is what AI is doing across the board, right? It's not replacing the human, but it is saying, okay, I have all this information that I need to parse in a spreadsheet and figure out. Well, give it to Claude or give it to AI, and AI will sort it out for you very, very quickly. So it is a moment where you can say, hey, I've got all these people calling me, and we're going to give you some great call examples or some great examples of different businesses. One that comes to mind right now is a housing authority, and on their website they have millions of forms and they have millions of answers to questions that people might ask. Their website is got to be, it's got to be 15, 20 pages deep. And so a lot of the phone calls they get are about the stuff that's on the website. All right. So, we're having conversations with them right now and starting to build out behind the scenes for them, something that'll answer the phone. And if the person says, I'm calling to figure out, what colors I'm allowed to paint my house, and that it will say to them, well, okay, well, there's a list of colors that are allowable colors that you're able to paint your house. Would you like me to read those to you, or would you like me to send you a link? And if they say, I'd like you to send you a link, they can ask, would you like that in email, or would you like that in text or SMS? Oh, can you text it to me? Sure, no problem. Here's the link to the page that tells you all the colors. Or you can paint your house this color green and this color white and all that stuff. By the way, if you guys ever, if anybody just wants a good time on the internet at some point in time, there's a thing on Instagram, and if you email me, I'll send you the link. But there's there's one homeowner, if it's HOA nightmares or something like that, and they're fake, but they're absolutely hilarious, talking about like shadows and what color your grass can be, which way you're allowed to cut your lawn. Anyway, really funny stuff. And I'm sorry if that triggers anybody on this call. All right, but they are for everybody, right? It really comes down to, where are there inefficiencies? I say to people on all of our calls when they say, okay, well, how could it help me? And I say, well, if you have somebody who picks up your phone, and every time that person picks up your phone, that is their only job in the world, and most of the time they're just sitting at the desk staring at their phone and not doing anything else, you don't need AI. Or maybe you do. Maybe you could have them do something else and use AI to answer the few calls that they get. But the idea is that it's not here to replace people. It's just here to make you more efficient. And those efficiencies are really what we're searching for. So real world business cases. And I'm just going to grab a couple of these. And these are all folks that we're having conversations with or have agents already deployed at. And so I think that this is some of these are a lot of fun. So medical offices, right? We are just wrapping a POC, and POC stands for proof of concept. And we'll talk a little bit about how we roll out AI agents in a little bit, but it does involve a proof of concept where you get to test it and see what it's all about. And we'll talk a little bit about how Votacall handles things and why the way that we handle things is completely different than the big box stores out there. A lot of you guys that I see on here are longtime customers, so I'm pretty sure that you already know that we're different than the big box stores out here, but we'll talk about why. But appointment scheduling and prescription refills, and then the other one that's not on here that they're actually doing is referrals as well. And the reason being is that when we talk about efficiencies, let's say I'm calling in to refill get transferred to the prescription line. I call in my prescriptions every day at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, at 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And so I leave you a message, and the message is, hey, it's Dan Nicklin. I need a new prescription for this. And I forget to tell you what pharmacy I want you to call it into. Well, when you listen to that message, you can't just take that information and pass it on to the pharmacy, because there's bits of it that are missing. So that's what we mean about efficiencies and creating efficiencies. AI can ask all the right questions, make sure that it gets it right, repeat it back to the person, and then either A, send you an email that you can then read through and take a look at, or B, have it all stored in a voicemail box where you can pass that information on to where you need it to go. And I think that that's pretty important. AI could also identify, oh, that was a narcotic that person just asked me for, and it could tell them the prescription you're asking us to refill is for a narcotic. Narcotics have to be accompanied by an appointment. Let me transfer you over to appointments, or let me get you an appointment scheduled, right? Depending on how entwined the AI is. And that's what I mean about starting. When I say, we always say to people as we go into the process, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but the low-lying fruit. Let's find the things that are easy to tackle right now, the easy insertion points to put AI inside of your organization so that you can start using it, so that you can hire AI as an employee that only does the minimal things that you need it to, that's only costing you the calls that it actually handles. And then as you become more confident in it and we build it out more and we get it more ingrained with your systems, we can start letting it have more responsibility. And I think that that's the way that, we're seeing these things take off. There's some really interesting statistics out there about AI. And I probably should tell you this later, but I'll tell you now. Proof of concepts. Most AI, if it hits the proof of concept stage, or if someone turns it on, most AI doesn't get out of proof of concept at other companies statistically, industry wide. Our percentage is actually really high now. For I think everybody we've given a proof of concept to has actually turned it on. And then additionally, past that, a lot of them that get turned on, about 60% of those actually get turned off. And we'll talk about why in just a few minutes, but keep those numbers in mind, and it'll make more sense in a minute. Law firms, Kyle already hit this one. And I think we were amazed as we sat on that call to hear about that people are calling in for case updates at 9 a.m, and then again at 1 p.m, and then again at 5 p.m. And if they haven't been told anything, or you weren't able to get to the call, they're really just looking to be told, like, no new updates have happened yet, because they're really just waiting for an update, and that they get in the hundreds of these phone calls. So we're in the process of connecting to their case management system. And we are in the process of working with their case management system on connecting our API so that we can go view a case. Well, the first thing the AI is going to do is validate that they are who they say they are. Right? I mean, we're not just going to start giving out case information randomly. So we'll validate that against the phone number or against some other information, whether that's last four of social, et cetera. It knows what to ask. And then we will hand them their case information. And that means that the people who were handling these phone calls before, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times a day, can actually do casework, right? Which hopefully will speed things up across the board. But that's a real example. Home services, dispatch requests, quote collection. Again, I think this was our first AI client. Before we started marketing to people, actually, they just reached out to us to ask us. They had an answering service that they were incredibly frustrated with. We had a blizzard up here in New England. And during that blizzard, everybody's generator broke, who wasn't prepared. All right. So they all decided they needed to call the generator company because they were without power for extended periods of time. And the answering service just couldn't handle the volume, charged them an astronomical amount of money, didn't process any real information, didn't gather any information, didn't deliver complete leads. And it really just exposed them as, well, they were like, wow, could AI have done anything for us? And so we started building them some AI tools that do a lot of that stuff, right? If we had a blizzard today, AI would be the star. It would filter out the calls that are ticket calls. It would filter out the people that are existing customers and have contracts. It would validate that people are okay with being put on the calendar and paying dispatch charges and what those charges are. And people would agree to them verbally, and they would have recordings of that. So there's a lot of things that it would be able to do for them to help them out. Additionally, it would filter out the sales calls and get the leads over to people so that they could start signing people up, right? Sometimes it takes an event like that for people who have been thinking about getting a generator to actually get a generator. Kind of like hopefully an event like today, people who've been thinking about AI means you'll schedule a call with us. Kyle, throw that link back up.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So the next one is service providers. I'm kidding. You don't really have to throw it up, but it's there in the links, guys, if you want to click on it. There it is. Right.
And I think that actually is a good segue into a question that we received yesterday. So a question came in: can it replace an after-hours answering service?
Yeah, and it was a great question yesterday, and the answer is yes. I have been around this industry a long time, and answering services are always one of those things that the phone system world has been looking to replace for after-hours assistance, right? Whether that's a housing group or a property management group, or whether that's the oil company, because people never remember they ran out of oil until they get in the shower, and they realize how cold it is, and sometimes that doesn't happen during business hours. So that, it comes down to how do people get their calls answered? Well, the answering service, They answer the phone calls for a lot of different businesses, all the businesses that we're talking about right now. Anybody who's closed but needs to offer service after hours, whether that's the local doctor or whether that's, whether that is a property management company, same thing. But they're answering all these different calls. So they're not really specialized in anything, and they can't really ask a bunch of, questions and probing questions. Typically the answering service doesn't offer that, unless you're paying for actual employees, right? So they're like paid third-party employees. So what happens in those particular cases? Well, this is a real world example of where if someone calling in to get a sales, it's going to ask a lot of questions. And the next morning, that sales lead is going to be qualified, right? And it doesn't after hours can be funny. It could be before hours, and right now, how do you collect data before hours? Well, we just leave it in a voicemail box. Okay, that's really no good. I can give you some examples of that. We have an answering service. Okay, well, so at 7:30 in the morning, the GC is on a job site. This is a real call example, by the way, of, we're working with a porta potty company right now. GC gets there at 5 in the morning, calls in, talks to the answering service, and is like, I need to know where my porta potty is. The answering service says, okay, we'll take down your number and have someone give you a call. Well, they don't get there till 8. So at 8 o'clock, they have all the phone calls that came in starting at 5 o'clock when they closed yesterday and all the way until this morning. So the call that came in from the GC at 5 o'clock in the morning doesn't get called back until 30 calls later. Well, turns out that by the time you actually call that person back, the porta potty's been delivered. It's all taken care of, and there's no actual problem anymore, but you're just wasting time calling someone back. And it also looks like you don't know what you're doing, because the GC doesn't know that you returned 20 other phone calls first. So just a real good example of where something that could answer the phone for you, gather the information that you need, make sure that you have complete information, potentially check that the person is still on the schedule. Oh, your porta potty is being delivered by Mike this morning at, and where is it? It doesn't show as delivered yet, but we'll let you know and we can call you back. Simple information that can just be passed and parsed so that you know which calls you need to answer first, et cetera. Okay. Service providers, ticket triage, workflows, again, gathering information from somebody to make sure that, well, this is a great example. If you called into our support line and you said, my phone system is down. Okay, well, what does that mean? Okay, does that mean you can't get your voicemail, or does that mean like all your phones are completely dark? Do you have electricity? So you could triage that ticket and you could ask questions. We promise not to do that, by the way. We are going to have live forever. We did say that with AI agents, if we could build one for ourselves, but we would offer the person a chance to talk to our AI agent if they wanted to. But we'll always be live answers. So retail and hospitality. Again, this is another real world example that we're working on, but we have a company that takes reservations from multiple hotels. Somebody calls in, they're on the phone. Now what happens? Well, they used to just get a voicemail. Well, voicemails don't help. So we built them AI agents that actually ask a million different questions, and gather all the information that they really need, then confirm that, and then send out an email to the person who called in that we have the booking information, and and who the person is who's going to call them back. We have it doing that part as well. But it brings me to a funny story about AI. One of the things that people always talk about with AI is, you get overwhelmed with the idea that you're going to have to teach it. Again, AI has already been taught. The models already exist. They already know what to do. And this this retail and hospitality, this reservation system that we had, somebody was calling in to make a hotel block reservations for a wedding. And it was pretty amazing as we were listening back to the call to do some testing with the client. The AI agent at the end of the call said, okay, well, thanks. I'll send out that email to you and congratulations on your wedding. Because it had determined that it was talking to the bride. That's not programmed anywhere, but that's just AI, because you told AI that you're helpful and that you're courteous and that you're kind. And so it behaves like that. And so that's really special. Real estate, capturing leads, obtaining data. And we could go into this, we as a company represent 1 million small businesses. I think the beauty of where we are with AI right now is that it has entered the SMB world now in a way that it wasn't before. I think 10 years ago, you called JetBlue and JetBlue talked to you. And, if you were like me, you said, speak to a live person 5 times until you got the live person. If you were like somebody else, they might've talked to it for a little while, confirm their reservation, see them, check how many points they have, et cetera. But it's made it all the way down now to SMB. And we are just like right on the precipice here of AI really making its way out to all the SMB businesses and really starting to do some amazing things, again, to create efficiencies for folks. All right. So what are those benefits? Kyle, I'm out of breath again.
I'll give you a break. So, you just heard a lot of different use case scenarios, and there's so many different areas, right, so many things that AI can do, like send emails, capture particular information, you tell it what to ask questions. So there's so much it can do. So again, the big thing across all of these is going to improve efficiency. So from, the operational standpoint, fewer missed calls, right? Missed calls equals missed opportunities and revenue. So you want to make sure you're capturing as many calls as you can, reducing hold times. That goes pretty much both ways, operational and on the customer side, right? Nobody wants to wait, on hold for minutes at a time. 24/7 availability, better and intelligent call routing. On the financial side, lower staffing cost, increased lead capture, again, capturing that information, higher customer retention. If you're answering the calls quickly, you're not going to lose them. They're on hold for minutes time. Maybe they're going to call somebody else since their call isn't getting answered. And then on the customer side, faster, better, and consistent experiences. So again, across the board, we're here to improve efficiency.
Okay. I just had a question come in, Kyle, while you were doing that. And it wasn't how much do they cost, but we will cover that in a second. But how do AI voices sound, and can you choose the voice? The answer to that is yes. So I think it's good to know that Votacall is not white labeling someone else's product. We have built our own AI agents. They are on our servers. They reside in our data centers. So from all the compliance and things that we have, those all move down into our systems. So what we've done is we have partnered with a lot of the really great voice companies out there. I think if you go into our portal, the My Votacall portal, you will see in there that, we already have voices from Google and Watson and some other things already available. And so we also have 11 Labs, who is the premier, and then a bunch of other different voice companies, so that you can find the right accent and you can find the right speed and you can find the right tone. It's also good to know that you can choose all those things with your voice, right? So when you choose a voice and you say, okay, I want to have, a male with a British accent, you can then adjust that speed of how fast that person talks. You can then adjust the warmth of their voice, and you can start to adjust these things until it feels natural to you. And so it's a pretty interesting time for that. Many other companies, I'm sure, are starting to create AI voices and start to come up with, different companies will start to pop up. And as they do, the beauty of that is they'll start to drive down the cost of AI. And in addition to that, create better voices. And I'm sure that we'll integrate with those as they move along, or keep going with the 11 Labs. So what do they cost and how does this work? Well, I think it's important to note that, we just had a question come in, actually, sorry. Can it understand accents and speak other languages? Yes, in our lab, we actually had it switching back and forth between English and Portuguese with somebody. Obviously, it can do Spanish as well. Check in with us on all the different languages that you wanted to do. And then as far as understand accents go, it's a really interesting question. It will understand accents. If you could understand the accent, it's probably going to get it most of the time. If it's one of those folks that has an accent that's so thick that you can't really understand it yourself, then maybe not. And so I think that's it really just comes down to it stands a chance, and it'll process what it thinks it hears against what would be something somebody might say, and calculate that it hopes it hears it correctly. But so it'll probably do as good a job as most human beings. All right, what do they cost? So the way that we do this is, I'm going to start with industry standards that we've noticed in the industry as we were preparing to put our cost model together. We found that people charge anywhere from about 40 to 45 cents up to anywhere between like 95 and $1.05 per minute for an AI agent. The other thing that we've noticed is that people are charging upfront fees and monthly fees. So if you sign up for it today, it's $200 a month, and yeah, that gives you 200 minutes. And then after the 200 minutes, it's $1 a minute after that. But if you only use 20 minutes that month, you're being charged the $200. Votacall charges no upfront fees whatsoever, and we don't charge a monthly fee either. And you can turn on and off your AI agent as you see fit, right? So you can have it turned on just for lunches, when the reception goes to lunch. You can have it running on weekends or holiday weekends to gather information, sales leads, process info that you need. But whenever you turn it off, you're not being billed for it. Whenever you turn it back on, we start billing. And it's only billed for usage. And we bill at 50 cents, by the way. So we are very much on the low side of things. Yes, 50 cents per minute. Sorry. So we're very much on the low side. If you attended our webinar last month on sentiment analysis, we do include sentiment analysis on our AI agents. So that's good to know. All right. So what is our process? Well, our process begins with a conversation. And Kyle, how do you get to a conversation?
Oh, I can put that link right up again.
Put up the link. Yeah. All right.
I got you now.
No, it's okay. That's okay. All right. So yeah. So it begins with a conversation, schedule an AI call, reach out to us, reach out to your project manager, reach out to our support team, say I was on there, I want to talk about AI agents. They all know how to direct you to this link. This link will let you pick a date, time that works for you, and we'll just have a conversation. And that's it. That's all it's going to be. However, from there, we're going to gather. You'll be on the call with Sean, myself, Kyle. From there, we're going to start gathering information and looking for those pain points and efficiencies and little things that we think AI might be able to do to help you along. We're hoping that a conversation today is going to send you back to other folks within the organization, start having some conversation and be like, what if we had to do this? I wonder if it would do that. That's when you book that meeting and you have our call with us, right? From there, we're going to go ahead and build a POC for you, or proof of concept. We'll give you a number. I was calling it a fake number yesterday. It's not really a fake number. It's a real number. You're going to call it. It works. And you can listen to what we've built. And you can come back to us and you can say, oh, I don't really like how it does this, or I got stuck right here. How could we handle that? And we're going to listen to it and we're going to tweak it. Sean's going to run models against it. And I think that that's the beauty of who Votacall is really self-service versus a managed service. Again, most of the big box stores out there, they walk you through a little GUI and you type in, I wanted to say this, and then I wanted to do that. And then when it doesn't work, there's no one there to help you, which is why we've found in the industry, I gave you guys some numbers earlier, we found in the industry that people are turning them off after they turn them on. And so adoption is low, okay? But adoption is only low because of poor implementation, right? And so that is really what our process is all about. We are a managed service. There will be a self-service portal. Next month's webinar will be on that, and you can see the tools that we're building for folks and what we're doing with people. But we do consider it to be a managed service, right? And so it is something that we will help you work on. We'll help you tweak. Sean will build models that'll simulate thousands of phone calls against your AI, so that, and we can do all that because it doesn't cost us anything, because it's our stuff. And so we'll work to help make it right for you. So when you say, hey, we called in and this didn't work right, or I didn't like how it responded to this, we'll actually train it how to do things the right way for you. So again, it does become a trainable employee so we look for those little little points, easy points of insertion to go ahead and insert AI into your daily workflows. From there, we start to teach it some more. Then we teach it some more. 6 months, we teach it some more. You turn it on and off whenever you want. So there's no wall to getting started with this. And we're hoping that that's what people will start to do, and ease into the adoption, because I think it's going to help everyone. The question is finding the places where it helps you guys out. Okay. So what's next? Schedule that call. Schedule an AI call. Go ahead and get started with us. And we'd love you to fill in the poll too. And I think that would be important, is to fill that poll in, because I'd love to hear at the end of something like this, where do you guys feel like this would be helpful for you? We're seeing in so many different businesses, we have a follow-up call to start talking about a POC with another one of our clients, longtime client of ours, that is in the wholesale business, and they actually wanted to make phone calls out to people, and start asking questions, because they have so many wholesale clients they can't possibly touch base with. So again, some really interesting use cases. And again, really looking forward to getting this going with lots of different folks. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It would be, if you look down at the bottom, there's a little thing that says react. You guys can throw some smiley faces or some thumbs up, or maybe some terrified faces because AI scares you. That was me, by the way. But thank you guys for being here. We really do appreciate you coming and spending some time with us. Again, we're not one of the big box stores. We don't have a massive marketing budget. This is really where we come to talk to our customers. But if you want to get to know more about it, just let us know. Again, there's no cost for you guys to see what we could do for you. And we're looking forward to getting started with you guys. So again, thank you for coming. Very humbled. We appreciate you. Kyle, anything else?
No. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right.
All right.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.